Jeshua, the early years. Decide to be Christ. Now we begin. And indeed, greeting unto you, beloved and holy children of God. Indeed, greetings unto you, beloved brothers and sisters. Indeed, greetings unto you, the embodiment of all that love is, the embodiment of all that wisdom is, the embodiment of all that simplicity is. Indeed, greeting unto you, holy child of God. For I come forth not from a dimension apart from you, but I come forth from that place with which we have shared together as one, since before the beginning of time. I come forth, then, to abide with you, because I love you. For I look upon you, and I look beyond your illusion of suffering and strife. I look beyond the temporary illusions that seem at times to cloud your perception still, and I see only the radiance of that which my Father has birthed and has sustained forever. For in you do I see the reflection of the truth that I am, and in seeing Christ in you, I know Christ in myself. And the only difference between you and me may yet be that there are a few moments when you make the decision to see yourself other than Christ, and therefore fail to see Christ in your brother and sister. And likewise, there may be a moment when you choose not to see Christ, who dwells within your brother or sister, thereby convincing yourself that Christ cannot dwell within you. For remember always that it takes one to know one, and if you see Christ in me, it can only be because you have acknowledged from a place within yourself that you are the one that you've been seeking. Only Christ can welcome Christ, as only love can welcome love, because you are that love. All power under heaven and earth is given unto you without measure consistently. There is not a moment that is taken from you, and from that power you choose to create what you have chosen to perceive. Therefore, the only journey is a journey without distance to a goal that is never changed. It is a journey from the decision to see yourself as separate from God to the decision to see yourself as one with God, and to become entirely vigilant for the kingdom. And the kingdom is simply the eternal union of God and his holy child, of Creator and created. Like a sunbeam to the sun are you, and nothing you have ever dreamed about yourself has changed for one moment the truth that is true always. Therefore, indeed, beloved friends, I never come to instruct you. For what could I possibly teach you that you do not already know? And in any moment, if in your dreams, in your prayers, your meditations, if temporarily through the domain of the mind of this my beloved brother, there are words uttered, caused, if you will, by an impulse of my love for you, that sound true to you, that touch your heart, that heal the mind, that awaken you, that restore your peace, rest assured, I have done nothing. For of myself I can do nothing, but the Father through me can do all things. For it is the Father in you that has activated your awareness. That truth has been heard. Therefore, when healing comes to your mind, it is because you have healed it. And you have chosen the context, perhaps, just as some of you in this very hour will choose this context in which to heal an ancient wound, in which to awaken ever more deeply into the truth that is true always. Some of you will insist that I have done something to you, but rest assured, I have no power over the holy child of God, you. I can love you, and I indeed do. I can join with you in the space between your thoughts, and I do, not because there is something amiss with you, but because I see in you everything that is good, everything that is holy, everything that is beautiful, everything worthy of Christ's love. That is what is true about you. Therefore I enter into your dreams and into your meditation and into your prayer. I enter into wherever you would create a space for me, because I love the child of God who radiates the truth of my Father's presence and reminds me of who I am. You, each of you, I see as my Savior, just as when I walked your planet as a man. I learned to look upon everyone as my Savior, to see them in the light of Christ beyond all illusion, and it was in seeing that light that I finally learned that it must be in me. This is why relationship is the means of your salvation. No one can awaken alone, for there is no truth behind the illusion of separation. There is only one mind dancing in a myriad of forms, dimensions, layers of consciousness, layers of potentiality. But behind it, all you are the shining one sent forth from the holy mind of God, at one with that mind always. And in truth, only that mind is real, for Christ is God's only creation. Therefore, beloved friends, in this hour I am going to ask you to do something that is actually quite important for all of us. If you would indeed honor the Son, the Christ that dwells in me, then choose from this moment to use the power of choice given unto you to decide to be Christ. If you would honor me, then in this hour truly decide to honor yourself, to look beyond the illusion that seems perhaps still to govern the mind, to become so arrogant that you take God at His word and simply begin to entertain the thought, I am that one. I have always been that one. I could never succeed in being other than that one. It is I who have come to bless this world with the love of Christ. It is I that find myself temporarily embodied upon a certain planet, in a certain solar system, in a certain dimension among infinite dimensions. Here I bless this world. Now in this moment love restores all things. For I am the Redeemer of the world, and as I bless the world, I bless myself. And as I love the world, I love myself. And as I see Christ in my brother or sister, I merely reinforce the reality that the one is who I am. This is how close the kingdom is at all time. This how close the kingdom is now. What is the width or the distance of a thought? And yet I say unto you, all that you behold from your perception, even the very body, the trees that bless this planet, the birds that sing at dawn, the wind that whispers gently across the flower bed, the fragrance of that flower, all things that can be perceived, exist nowhere save in the distance between the beginning and the ending of a thought. That is how powerful you are. Therefore dare to think the thought of truth. I and my Father are one. Here and now I cannot change it. I can delay my recognition of it, for I am given infinite freedom to do so. And perhaps I've been doing a very good job, but nothing I've ever dared to believe about myself has ever been true, except the truth that is true always. I am that one. I am the one shining beyond all stars. I am the one through whom creation has flowed. I am the one who blesses creation with the love of Christ. There may yet be some of you who think that this is arrogant, but I say unto you, the only thing that is arrogant is that you insist that you are less than you are created to be, and then try to enlist others to believe it with you. You know that one. How much time and energy have you spent? And rest assured, time can waste as well as be wasted. How much time and energy have you spent trying to convince others of your unlovability? How much time and energy have you spent enlisting others to believe with you that you are unworthy, that you are weak, that you cannot find peace? How much time and energy have you spent manifesting worlds in which separations seem to be a success? How much evidence have you amassed to prove it? And yet I say unto you, all of it is your creation. It exists nowhere except between the beginning and the ending of a choice, a thought. And yet the Father waits silently for His holy child to awaken from an ancient dream and choose again. The very same power that you have been using and investing in proving to yourself that you are yet separate from God is the very power that must come to be used to acknowledge the truth that is true always. And this is being vigilant for the kingdom. It is not necessary, then, to seek for love is the truth of your being. It is, however, quite necessary to seek out the ways in which you have invested time and energy into the birthing of perception and beliefs that seem to be other than the truth, and then to choose anew. All purification, then, is of the mind. And I speak here not of what some would call the lower mind that is engaged in the activities of the body. I speak of the depth of the mind, of what I often refer to as the heart, the sanctuary in Christ yet resides within you, unchanged, unchanging, unchangeable forever. Please waste not another moment, for you are worthy of peace. Please waste not another moment, but arise now in the holiness of your being by simply entertaining this one thought right now in your being. I and my Father are one. I am as I am created to be. I choose to accept the truth and to live it, not by my power, for I have none, but by the power that has birthed me in this moment. I am the Savior of the world. So how does that feel? Is that okay? For you see, here's the question you must come to answer for yourself. You must be able to answer this question. Is it okay for me to be God's holy child? The only reason you've birthed ideas of separation is that you've answered that question in the past by saying, well, not yet. It's okay for Jeshua ben Joseph and perhaps a few others. I'll select them out and give them permission to be awake. But if you would honor the Son that dwells in me, please honor the Son, the Christ light that dwells within you. Does it feel, what you say, that pretty darn good? Trust me, beloved friends, as you live in that decision, you will experience an unending expansion of the depth of that goodness, and you will discover that your Father's kingdom has no end, and is extended without end in you and through you. And just as you come to be the master of the domain of your body, mind, and your world, there will then come a day and a moment when you will play as the master of the universe, just as you are now beginning to play with the mastery over your mind that seems to be limited to one body. In my Father's house are many mansions, many dimensions, worlds without end, and you, because you are God's holy child, are free to open and receive all that has been prepared for you. And if you would well receive it, the whole of creation, its infinite glory, and its unending extension is given to you. That is God's delight, just as a child turns to a father and mother, and the father and mother feel such love for the child that they would give all things unto that one. Likewise does your Father prepare all things for you, and therefore love merely waits on your welcome. Father, I would receive the kingdom you have prepared for me, but since before the beginning of time, I have dreamt long and hard, and I have discovered that in separation and limitation there is something lacking. You and me and our perfect and holy union. Therefore now do I choose to open and receive all that you would give me gladly. Press it down upon me without measure. Let it rain like the showers from infinite, infinite heavenly skies, and I will never cease in my receiving. For I know that I am the one birthed from your holy mind, and I am the one whom you love above all. That is the truth, and frankly, though I have tried in a million ways, there's no better way to say it than that. That truth is true about me because, please listen carefully, because and only because it is true for you. If it were true for me and not true for you, then God could not be God, because something would have been created in inequality, and something given would also be withheld, and God withholds nothing. Therefore, that which God is pressed down upon you like a gently spring shower without ceasing, and with perfect equality, unto you and unto me, unto every saint and every sinner. And the shower that falls is the power to choose. That's all. That is what the kingdom is. The power to choose what you will be aware of. How you will use the power of mind to create the thoughts that you think, and thereby create universe of experience. Now, here's a simple question that you can ask if you want to find out if this is true. Do you find yourself existing right now? Do you find yourself existing right now? What's the answer? Yes. Well, you're using it. You're using the power of God's law that is showering down upon you to be aware of your literal existence as a sentient being. And you are just as free to decide what qualities you will experience right here and right now. So take a moment and make what you call eye contact. The eyes are the windows to the soul. Make eye contact with someone in a room, some perfect stranger existing in an infinitely far space away from you, locked into another body, painfully imprisoned just like you, and simply decide that you are Christ, and that you do nothing else in this moment but bless them. Transmit the love of God now. No need to tighten the jaw and furrow the brow. The kingdom is effortless. There, I believe some of you are feeling that shift in the room. What's doing it but you? Now, within your own mind, gently say as you continue that eye contact, I behold my beloved self, in whom I am well pleased. As I bless, I am blessed. As I love, I receive love. Therefore in my giving do I find that which I would receive. Therefore my giving will be without ceasing, that I might give all to receive all. Good. Was that pretty darn good? How did that feel? Was it difficult? Did you go through any gyrations in order to do it? The kingdom is the simplest of the simple. It requires literally no effort, for effort is of the world, not of the kingdom. Love is eternally present, waiting only on your decision to have vigilance over your kingdom, which is your power to choose. Nothing outside of you has caused anything at any time, for all that you experience flows from within you. And no one has the power to dictate your choice, for no one can usurp the free will of the Holy Son of God. There is a necessary step in anyone's spiritual journey, and that step has just been described for you. The journey to the kingdom truly begins when you completely decide to assume complete responsibility for exactly what you're experiencing at any moment, without fail, without justification, without explanation. For until you choose to claim such power, you cannot truly make the decision, except for momentary glimpses. You can't make the constant decision to be the embodiment of Christ. Why? Because you're constantly giving your power to an illusion outside of yourself. Does that make sense for you? So the whole of spirituality, after all is said and done, rests only in this. The kingdom is at hand. It is spread across the face of the earth, and mankind sees it not because he fails to look into his own consciousness, his own mind, and claim the power that is going on all the time, the power by which the mind creates and experiences its creation. So we have that settled. Good. Now remember that at any time that you notice yourself entertaining an insane idea, and what is an insane idea? Except the idea that something out there really is causing my experience. I'm not really the awakened Son of God. Those are insane ideas. When you have them, realize that you've just freely used the power of your sanity to simply entertain an insane idea, for no other reason to have the experience. That's all that's going on, that's it. And you are just as free to choose again. Guilt is a very clever illusion. With it you have decided that since you once held an insane idea, you've taken away from yourself your worthiness to think sanely. And now I must strive and work. I must prove myself worthy and hope that God in His grace will finally have mercy upon me, a poor wretched sinner, and take my burdens from me, and allow me to be healed. Oh, Father, don't you hear my prayers? Frankly, your Father is not even aware of your illusion. He's too busy loving you as you are and giving you the very power to choose illusion. So understand the great temptation of guilt and how worn it like a cloak in order to avoid being what you can't help but be. You're then trying to shake your hand off your wrist, and then you can use the same power to use that hand to bless creation. On or off, love or fear, there is no gray area. There is only the power of mind given unto you freely. There is only the opportunity to choose again and again and again and again and again, until the bliss of choosing for the kingdom finally outvalues every other possibility, and the mind becomes consistently anchored in the sunbeam that has come forth from the Son of God and streams forth only love. Rest assured that as you cultivate that in each present moment, the power of your own beingness will carry you far, far, far beyond the need for a body, the need for time, definitely far beyond the need for, shall we say, dramatic learning experiences. Is it then possible to truly awaken while yet in the world of illusion? Of course. Awakening can only occur now. And because love is real, because you are always, nothing in any moment has the power to obstruct you from being awake, except the power of your decision. That's all. That is the one thing that in this hour I wish to express to you. If you can get this, you've gotten it. Nothing holds power over you, and nothing creates your experience except the decision, the choice that you have used within the power of the mind. That's all that's happening in all dimensions. It's what's happening in the dimension where I hang out, which, by the way, is not quite accurate, since I hang out in all dimensions, and so do you. The only difference is I'm perfectly aware of it, while some of you are trying to be perfectly unaware of it. Where I abide with a multitude of friends, it is quite true that there is no valuation of the body, therefore no need to manifest one. There is communion and communication. It is immediate. It is more like a frequency that passes unobstructed through a solid wall, and we are engaged in ongoing creativity without ceasing. For what can creation be? What can the very purpose of existence be, if it is not to extend or create the good, the holy, and the beautiful, as a way of celebrating divine union with all that God is? That is why I once implored you, remember only your loving thoughts, for only they are true. And each time you entertain what was once an insane choice, you're actually saying, I, by the power given unto me of my Father, choose to imprison myself in an illusion and to suffer the guilt that comes with it. Now let me do it really well. When you remember only your loving thoughts, you are thinking with God. That is the mind of God, because only love is real. The kingdom is immediate and at hand. Nothing can obstruct it, nothing can limit it. Perception can be corrected so you see the real world right here, right where you are, where there are seemingly chairs and bodies and rooms and light bulbs and all the rest, and funny little wires that go to funny little keys so that the master can make beautiful music come out of them. Right here, the real world abides, and it is what is perceived when you choose to see only through the eyes of love. I chose a very dramatic way to learn my final lesson. I invite you to learn your final lesson with ease and gentleness. When I said, take up your cross and follow me, I did not invite you into a realm of suffering and strife and sacrifice. Rather, the cross that you crucified yourself upon so many times is merely the illusion of guilt, the insistence that you have actually succeeded in separating yourself from God. To take up your cross is like packing up your tent when it's time to go home. You don't trudge with it on your back, you throw it in the trunk. You get in your automobile and you step on the gas and you have a nice cup of water as you speed down the highway saying, it was a nice camping trip, but it's done. Therefore, take up your cross and follow me, please, 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 for the world is crying out to see again the embodiment of Christ. And just as once as a man I chose to take my Father at his word, to choose to embody Christ, that I might learn what Christ is, so too you are given the opportunity, in each moment, in each situation, to be the hands of Christ, to be the feet of Christ, to be the voice of Christ, to be the gentleness in the eyes, the laughter, the embrace, the tear. You are the one that your brother and sister can see, because they yet believe that only the body is real. And I can be walking, or shall we say gliding down the street next to them, shouting in their ear, beloved friend, I'm right here, I'm right here, I'm right here, and they can have 1,000 images in their mind. I just had a thought of Christ. I just had a thought of Christ, but that can't be real, because only bodies are real. I've been shouting till I'm blue in my non-physical phase, but you cannot be denied. You who have yet a little while in the experience of embodiment, you are the one who can stand before a brother or sister as the embodiment of the truth and teach only love. Nothing can be received until it is offered, and that is your only purpose. You are not responsible for the reception of love, but for its extension, and by extending it, you keep it for yourself. And it grows, and it grows, and it grows, and it grows, and it carries the very spark of divinity that you are. Beyond all worlds, beyond all dimensions, which are, by the way, infinite, so I hope you hear what I am saying to you. Your own love will carry you beyond what is infinite and is infinitely created. That makes you pretty darn good, huh? And I come not alone, for there is one that you have known who also comes with me, whenever I join to do this work through this my beloved brother, who comes with me wherever I go, in whatever creative work I seek to ease illusion from the minds of my brothers and sisters. That one that you have known as Saint Germain. I do not give him such honor, he is just my friend Germain. Rest assured we are what you call bosom buddies, though we have no bosom. Therefore nothing gets in the way, and he is here now. Well, after all, levity is good in the kingdom. It's made of lights, so how could it be serious? Indeed, this is just to let you know that the one is indeed my brother and friend. I met him once a long time ago while he was in the body and I was in the body. And I have spoken that in another time and place, but rest assured, let us say for now that he was present at what you call my crucifixion, though you should be able to tell by now that the world failed to get rid of me. He was present, and he was not on what you would call the good side, until in a moment we made eye contact, and he used what context to awaken. And from that moment he went on to create several incarnations to learn mastery of many things, and is indeed my equal in all things. And from that moment, in an ancient land far, far away, and long in the past, we have been joined as loving brothers, and that bond will never be broken. The point of sharing that story with you is this: where love has been allowed to join two minds or souls, separation is no longer possible. For love has healed the illusion. Bodies come and go, but love joins you with the beloved. Because this is true, waste not a moment, those of you that long to join with your brothers and sisters. Love in each moment, and you have healed the gap and restored the perfect remembrance of what is true always. And you will transcend the great horror and suffering that the illusion of separation is. And you will know that when you have loved, wherever that being goes through infinite dimensions, you are with them, and they with you, and no gap exists. And after all, isn't that what you try to do with your bodies? Get so close there's no more gap, and you call it making love. Would you choose to close the gap between yourself and the whole of creation, so that in your consciousness constantly there's only the revelation of oneness? Take my word for it, it is worth it, for nothing can elevate the heart and the soul into such celebration as the experience of living oneness. And oneness comes when you close the gap by blessing the one in front of you with the love of Christ. They are stuck with you forever. Therefore, when I said, I am with you always, you get the picture. Some of you have occasionally wished that I wasn't. And some of you have argued with me and said, where did you go? Where did you go? Beloved friends, I have gone nowhere. It is you that went, into fear, into contraction, into drama. Perfectly okay, if that's what, shall we say, what do you call it, lights your fire. But rest assured, I retract from no one who has ever once prepared a place for me, which simply means I love them and they receive me. Separation gone, unity restored, never to be broken again. If you could say that there may yet be something in me that I long for, it's not quite accurate. However, we'll use it. What I long for is for you to give yourself permission to experience yourself as I experience you, that's all. For then, O beloved friends, that what we can create together knows no boundary or limitation. What we can experience together in the fields of creativity, in the dimensions of creation, is pure, unbounded, unlimited, ongoing, deepening bliss. We can create together the good, the holy, and the beautiful forever and ever and ever and ever. That's the meaning of singing God's praise in heaven. If you will join with me by recognizing that you are Christ, or if you'll join with me by blessing me, by loving me, by being the one who looks upon Jeshua and Joseph and said, beyond your dumb ideas of crucifixion, why you ever did that I don't know, but I know that you're Christ, and I love you anyway. When you make the decision to turn the tables and be the Savior who comes to heal your brother Jeshua ben Joseph, when you come to look upon me and realize you're Christ looking at a brother who longs to know Christ, oh, my friends, then we can join. When I am your beloved as you are mine, the sacred dance of unity will carry us far beyond all imagined worlds, and together we will create that which extends the good, the holy, and the beautiful, so brightly, so creatively, so magnificently, so simply that the hour and a day must certainly come when every mind in every dimension is perfectly awakened. You, then, are in charge of the atonement. And frankly, I think God has given the assignment to someone perfectly capable of it. You, all of you. How could it be? How could it be that you are here now if you do not already know the truth that sets all things free? What could have the power to make you to be in this room, hanging out with an old brother who has no body unless you already knew? How could you recognize that I am who I say I am, unless you already awakened to the truth that is true always? I am that shining one. If you weren't awakened to it, rest assured you'd be somewhere else on this planet, simply because nothing happens by accident. It could very well be on the same level of the soul. You've already been in communication with me and said, you know, I would like to hang out with you, and I'm going to use this context to choose to be awake. Why not? Try everything else. So, by the way, just as an aside, there is no one in this room that did not also know me in the incarnation that has become so famous. I'm not saying that you were an embodiment at that time. You have to figure that one out for yourself. But there is no one in this room who did not know me in that time frame in which I was embodied, went through some learning lesson, and got famous. Are you saying you're... Indeed, I'm also saying within the great stream, the dream of creation, everyone in this room, shall we say, at least had their attention turned to the events that were unfolding, were quite aware of what was going on, whether you were in body or not. A few of you were looking through the window, but all of you have known me before. Not just as the soul or the spark of divinity, but you've known me as I took on the embodiment and become the man known as Jeshua ben Joseph. So here we are again, family gathering. And all of you abide within what I'll describe here as a stream of energy that I like to call the lineage. A specific kind of strand, if you will, that carries a certain vibration, certain characteristic, certain beings that are within it, that have actually created it. That lineage goes back a long ways. It involves myself, it involves you, it involves... No, I won't do it, Germaine. It involves the one that was known as Mary. Many countless others all have awakened to the vibration of Christed consciousness within themselves and realize that there's nothing else to do but extend love to any mind that will receive it, thereby giving them the invitation to step into the remembrance that they are Christ. There's nothing beyond Christed consciousness. It already enfolds all things, and you are that. There, good. Beloved friends, turn gently then from the roar and din of the world that you believe you have made an error, and know that you have never been capable of error, but you, out of your divine greatness, have chosen to take on the sins of the world. That is, you've chosen to experience what it's like to perceive oneself in separation in order to understand dimensions of illusion, dimension of suffering, to unfold within your being all possibilities. Why? Because your compassion is infinite and unbounded. And you have not suffered because you failed. You've suffered because you've looked upon a teeny little planet floating in a certain dimension, in which separation was being played out, and your compassion brought you here. To learn of this world, to master this world, to take it in and know what it's like, so that when you look into the eyes of a brother or sister and say, I love you, they know that you know what you're talking about. No one can fool you, can they? When another says, I'm suffering, you can say, I know, I took it on once myself. I know that dimension, and I am arisen. And because the ascension has been completed in me, the same power is in you. It is only by taking on the sins of the world, perception or separation, that you become the vessel, the vehicle, that is large enough to embrace any suffering that comes along the pike. And at a soul level, when you look into the eyes of another and say, yes, I know that you're suffering, and I love you. I know that Christ lives in you. At the soul level, they know that you're not what you call talking out of your hat. They know that you know because you've been there, and that is why I did what I did. Anybody can hang out in 17 dimensions beyond this planet and talk about love, and those that have fallen into illusion say, well, yes, well, come down here and try it out. I came down here for the same reason you did, out of the infinite compassion of Christ, so that I could embrace all of my brothers and sisters and help them to uplift themselves back to the place from which they have never fallen. You're doing it right now, you, in the very life you're living. You, out of your Christedness, out of your compassion, have opened yourself and called forth all manners of experience so that you could wrap yourself around this dimension and enfold it into your love. That's all you're doing here. So give yourself some credit. Never again entertain the thought that you have failed. You are the one that looked with tears upon this dimension and said, I'll go. I mean, after all, I'm not even willing to do that again. You are. You are that one. You are the embodiment of the Savior. You are the one sent forth from the mind of God. You are the one that has been willing to feel it all, to experience every dimension of suffering just so you could heal it, and thereby demonstrate that the truth is true always and only love is real. So there, now you know what you've been doing. Give yourself some credit. For though through the eyes of the body it looks as though things may be hopeless, rest assured the heat has been turned up by all of you, and there is a point where the water has no longer a choice but to boil and turn to steam. The train is pulling into the station because you have been willing to wrap yourself around this world in your own beingness and heal it with love. You, just as you are, right where you are. Everyone in this room is actively fulfilling their function. So before you go to bed tonight, go to a friend and simply say, "What a good boy am I or girl. I'm doing such a marvelous job, and now I'm going to go to sleep and just go off into my dreams and see who needs a touch of grace. I'm not going to go to sleep to try to dream and solve my problems. I don't have any. I'm going to go to sleep and deliberately choose by intention to let this body sleep and allow my spirit to find a heart that needs to be blessed." Do that, and you might find yourself having some interesting conversations over breakfast. So therefore, indeed, we have babbled at you long enough. The messages have been given. Has it been received? So we're going to do something we've never done before. Since you now know that you are Christ, and I'm just your brother, put it into practice and take a moment and think on the one you dare to call your friend, Jeshua ben Joseph, and in your mind and in your own being, simply say to me, "Jeshua, I bless you with the love of Christ that I am." Rather fun, isn't it? Don't you immediately feel lighter, more expanded? Isn't there a part of you that knows that's the truth? Therefore, when next you set up at the altar, whether individually or the next time some of you will choose to gather as a group, make it a point to also bring a picture of yourself. And if you really want to have some fun, cover up my picture with yours, and start your morning meditation by honoring those pictures indeed. And if you can convince those that run the big stone buildings and big buildings around the planet that have this funny emaciated image of me hanging on a cross, would you please tell them to take that down? I find them to be rather embarrassing. So it was a learning experience that may not have been necessary. It was my choice. Don't need to make such a big deal of it. I suppose every Christ must have a flaw. So I long for the day when beings gather in those brick and stone buildings and sit there and say, "Why are we here?" Well, since we can't remember, we might as well have a good dance. Then I'll know I have succeeded indeed. So how are you all doing? Has it been worth your time? It hasn't been worth mine. I don't have any. But rest assured, the opportunity to think up a creative way to join with you, to be received by you, to have an opportunity to love you by activating thought that vibrates vocal cords, that transmits something to you that allows our hearts to join, as they have countless times in countless other ways. Indeed, beloved friends, oh yes, it has been worth my while, for you are my treasure. You are my joy. You are my blessing and my beloved. You are the one who shows me my Father and how I can do less than love you forever for what you give to me, and indeed, I am with you always. So there are a few of you that feel a question burning deep in your soul. This is what we're going to do. I'm not going to engage them right now. I want you, whether you believe it or not, to accept that you are Christ. Therefore, just before you lay your head on your pillow, begin by acknowledging, "I and my Father are one. There are no barriers to the depth of wisdom within me. Therefore now, in this moment, I ask this question and I receive the answer. So be it. See what comes. Then tomorrow we will set aside just a short time, and I would be most pleased to, shall we say, pop back into your presence, and we'll see if there's any real questions left that still require that the answer be given through something and someone that seems to be outside of yourself. Fair enough? Good. Therefore, love you one another, as the Father has first loved all of us. Look with graciousness and gentleness. Look with appreciation upon the mystery of the moment in which you find yourselves with one another. For it is the power of your love that brings you unto one another. Love you one another, and you are the light that lights this world and redeems it from all illusion. Be you therefore at peace this day. Be you therefore at peace eternally, precious, holy, and ancient friends. Amen. So ends Decide to be Christ.